All right, I think we're good now. Everybody can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. All right, well, I'm sure some more people will be popping in, but thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your day to join our Dubsado 3.0 happy hour. I originally wanted this to be at like a 4 p.m. time where we could just like come hang out and chat about Dubsado, but I know 4 p.m. is like very inconvenient for entrepreneurs. So we landed on 1 p.m. So I do have a poppy today. I have my watermelon and lime poppy next to me, but if you want to drop in the chat what you have for your 1 p.m. happy hour, feel free to drop that there. But I have had this idea for a while, since like back in November, because everyone was like really freaking out about everything changing from the original Dubsado 2.0 to 3.0. And so now that I've spent more and more and more time in it, I felt like I was ready to do this webinar and really do it justice, to give you some really exciting updates and things that I feel like you would love to know about Dubsado 3.0. So, you know, as we go through things today, there are constantly like making updates and releases. Even things that weren't completed last week have changed this week. So I'm going to do my best to tell you everything that I know about Dubsado 3.0 and what I have learned so far. But actually, why don't you guys drop in the chat? Are you using 3.0 right now, or are you still like, I'm not even touched it, I'm not going there? Tell me, where are we at right now? How are you guys feeling? Starting to use it more, don't like it. Yeah, back and forth. Perfect. Yeah, practicing, great. Amazing. Yeah, and like I think that's great that we don't need to move. Yeah, okay, great. Everyone's like really at a different place. And I'm also only using form design in 2.0 still, but there's no rush that we have to like switch over completely today. But I just want to show you some of the features that we have so far. And really the goal is today to start feeling more comfortable, more confident. So then when you do start switching back and forth, maybe you start spending a little more time in 3.0. So let's see, here we go. As I just mentioned, if you open 3.0 and you immediately close it out, you're in the right place here today. I'm really hoping you can feel a little more excited and a little less like this. I know that I saw like so many things, from like threads to Reddit to Facebook groups like talking about this change. And I know that it feels very scary and very overwhelming for a lot of people. But yeah, especially like my past clients, right? It's like a lot of nerves around like, well, what just happened to all my workflows? Like, what happened to all the work that we've already done? And to answer your question, nothing has really shifted quite yet in that sense of like features for workflows have changed. Everything that you're doing in 2.0 is also happening in 3.0. But some of the new features that I'm going to show you today are not in 2.0. But in terms of like all of the basics of your workflows and automations, everything is the same. So we're going to go through today. And if you have, I know I was having fun with the gifts. I think I went a little overboard in the gifts yesterday, but that's okay. They're fun. If you have any questions as I'm going along, I'm not going to stop, but please drop them in the chat and we'll do that at the very end. I'm going to try to reserve the last 15 minutes or so for Q&A. So feel free to take advantage of that as well. But if we haven't met, my name is Kelly McCracken. I'm a certified Dubsado specialist, and I like to say I do more than just setting up Dubsado. What I'm really helping you do is design your client experience from the ground up. So everything from your inquiry form all the way to offboarding, we design everything in between in Dubsado. So my husband and I just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, but we've been together for 11 years. We live on the North Shore of Boston, and we have a 2-year-old daughter, Madeline, and we have a black lab. Her name is Olive. She's turning 8 in a couple of weeks. So I'm a former second grade teacher, and I come from a family of small businesses. And I think at the end of the day, why I love this so much is I watched my parents for years do everything by hand. Like my mom had those 3 layers of contracts that she was literally having to hand write out. They owned a party rental company, so it was like 50 chairs, 7 tables, whatever. And if she had made a mistake, she had to start again. So it was torturous, right? And technology has come so far now to make this so much more approachable for a lot of people to have automations in their business and to be able to take advantage of it to really build something sustainable. And so I had to throw in there, because it's a happy hour, that I do love a glass of rosé or a glass of champagne. Those are my two favorites. So how did we end up here, right? I was thinking about how to like structure this slide, and what kept coming to the back of my mind was, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So we ended up here because a lot of the talk around Dubsado is it's hard to understand on the business owner side. There's kind of a big learning curve. And the reason for that is because it can do a lot. Every business is going to use things very differently, and you might navigate the software very differently. But they wanted to be able to address and fix some of the very big issues that we really need in our businesses. So things like fixing the scheduler. I don't even know how long the scheduler has been in like beta in 2.0. I want to say it's over 5 years, right? And not that you couldn't use it, but like the improvements that people really want and need just haven't been able to happen in 2.0. Things like being able to CC people on workflow emails, they're still not quite there yet, right, in 2.0. And so the goal of the rewrite is to be able to address a lot of these issues and fix a lot of the holes that people really do need to take it to the next level. So while I know it's painful right now to shift and learn something new, especially if you are just entering your busy season, or maybe you've been in it, that it feels like a lot, right? But like I said, we're going to take it slow. We're going to just learn some things as we go here. But hopefully by the end, you feel like, okay, I'm ready to start dabbling in 3.0 with this end goal in mind. Because we've, of course, all been there, right? We've all done something hard and continued on with something new, because we have to, right? So I just wanted to share this quick little story. My husband and I purchased a house in June of last year, and we actually didn't move in for a while. So I'm always like, it feels newer than it is. I don't think we really moved in until like October, November. But I remember feeling like pure panic. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is happening. Like this is what we wanted, right? I wanted all these things, but then I'm like, okay, like this is a lot. It's a lot to take in, and it felt very overwhelming for a long time. And if you are a past client of mine, or if you've been on my email list for a while, I remember sending out an email and I said, when does a house start to feel like a home? And this was us on like one of the first, within the first few weeks, we would like bring lawn chairs over and like had pizza and just like hang out. We had no furniture or anything there. But like it took a while, right, for it to start to feel like this is our home, and this is where I feel comfortable, and this is where I feel safe. So it's totally valid that everybody feels like that. And I love New Girl too. So I was trying to find a GIF about moving. And my thought behind this is, I think some of the fears that things have changed, but they really haven't changed. Things have been moved around and they've been renamed. Some things, not everything. So it's just trying to like remember the language again and remember where things are laid out. So let's just dive right in. Let's go into 3.0, not 2.0, and I'm going to walk you through some of the features here. So I'm just using my like test account here. So your account is probably going to look a lot better and a lot different than mine. I was trying to fill out the inquiry form a few times and like putting in some payments, so we had some like real data to work with. But if you want to log in beside me, that's totally fine. Or if you want to wait till the end, I have a little scavenger hunt for you to go through some of these tasks on your own. So either way, whatever way you learn best. So when you first log in to 3.0, this is the brand new dashboard. So previously in 2.0, you really could not control anything on here. Like we had a few things that were like, you need your attention here, you have your calendar, and then you can see how much money has been made and how much money is owed to you. But besides that, that's really it. You couldn't design or control that. So right now we have this display toggle over in the right-hand side, and this allows you to figure out how you want your dashboard to look. So for example, I'm used to having the financial reports up at the top. So in this case right here, it's showing that I've been paid $1,000. My conversion rate is now new. This is actually showing you how many clients have come through as leads and then actually become paid clients. So I really, this is one of my favorite things, I think, in 3.0, that now you have some data around how your marketing efforts are paying off and how many are actually becoming jobs. So anyway, so this financial reports, you can always move them around, and you can also hide them with this little button right here. And you can control how you like this to be displayed. So every time you log in, you're only really seeing what you need then as the first and forefront in the dashboard. The other thing you might notice, especially if you're a past client of mine, I used to always do rectangular logos because they would look the best on the invoices. So if it's bothering you that it's being cut off here, it's not changing anything on your client's view. It is only this view on the dashboard right here. So you certainly can change that little logo to be a circle or something smaller if you want to. But again, it's not changing anything on your client side. I can answer how to do that if you need me to show you where that is as well. So you can play around with how you like to view things, and it may take a couple of tries to see what you like, but you'll see here on financial reports, for example, this date right here, you can now control, instead of just like, I think it was month to date before or year to date, you now have a lot more control over, you want to see the last 14 days, or maybe you want to check on this quarterly and see how much money you've made in the quarter. So again, not something you would do every single day, but some good data. So if let's say it's more important that you have your events here first, then you can always up, and you can also change how you like to view it, whether it's the month, the week, the day. So again, that gives you a lot more control. So you can play around with all of these different features now. The thing to remember that's always been true about Dubsado is there's multiple ways to do the same thing. And so I think what the biggest goal of 3.0 is really merging not only like your templates and how you're working, but then combining them with your projects. So for example, in 2.0, let me go back to this screen. Before, you were really doing all of your managing right here in projects, and your templates lived in very separate places down below. And in 3.0, everything is sort of merged now. So this is, I'll come back to this after, but this is just for example, we have messages now, which is a new word for what they were calling emails. It was just canned emails before. Messaging now has both your client's project emails, almost like a minimized version of your Gmail inbox or your email inbox, and your templates now live down below that. And so that's true in all of these here. It's the same thing with events. Here's your global calendar for everything happening in Dubsado. Here are your templates. Invoicing is the same. We have invoicing, all of your invoices above, and your templates below. So I hope that makes a little more sense. They're just sort of merging everything together. Now, the same thing happens on your dashboard, where you can click to any of these same things on the left-hand side from the dashboard. So for events, for example, if you click this, it's going to bring you to that exact same screen. Then on the, sorry, I keep hitting projects. Same thing for like financial reports. There's no reporting tab here yet. I assume that that is coming, but it has been bothering me that it's not on the left-hand side. I can only access this from the dashboard at the moment. But again, when you click financial reports, it will open up your entire, all of the revenue that you've had so far. And you can again control the date range as well. So as you click through all of them, you'll see a lot of overlap in what you see on the left-hand side and what you see on the front. So like for me, I don't like seeing the projects here. I'm very used to coming into the projects, and I really don't want to manage my emails or things from here. I still want to do it within my workflows or within my client project. So I would probably hide this altogether. Same thing with invoices. This is not something I look at on a global client basis. I really look at it within the project level. So that might not be useful to you either. And we can make it a little less overwhelming by hiding some of those things in there. Then I do really love this new feature here where it has a waiting on you. But if you're a person who forgets to countersign things, you can now go back and do that very easily. So when you click on this, you don't have to open it up anymore, go in, sign it, click countersign. Now you can just click countersign and it will do them right all at once. It'll still do the exact same thing. It'll sign your business owner name, but you just have to click that button. So it saves a couple of clicks. It saves a few minutes. I see a question about the conversion rate. So great question. So if you log into Dubsado and you are not seeing anything here, This is because your lead capture is missing this project tracking. So let me just show it to you really quick. I'll come into my forms. My lead capture is where we're gathering this data. So one of the elements is project tracking right here. And so when it says, how did you find me? Google, the Knot, Facebook, Instagram, this is where that data is pulling from. So when your client fills out the form and on the dropdown, they select Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, when they now are created as a project, it's going to show that you've now had, let's say, 5 leads from the Knot and 3 from Facebook, and you have 10 referrals. Then it's going to take that data and say, well, how many actually then became jobs? They weren't just leads, they actually booked. So I'm assuming that this is going to continue to get better, but before it was like pretty basic. And again, yours is going to look way better than mine is. But now you can come in and see, for example, like in referral, you'll be able to see how many of those actually converted to a client. And then it will take you to the client project again from there. All right, I think that's just about everything on the dashboard. Actually, before I move on, are there any other questions about the dashboard?
Hey, Kelly, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Xiao Chen. Sorry, I have my camera off because I'm kind of running around the house right now. But yeah, so that was my question about the conversion. But the way that I have my statuses set up is that I have one statuses under jobs and I have lost statuses under jobs as well. So how would Dubsado know when something moved to a job, if it moved to a one status or a lost status in that case? Or did I just set it up wrong and my lost statuses should actually be under leads?
Yeah, so the statuses are really to keep track of like the timeline of the client moving forward. Your workflow can automatically change it from a lead to a job. So as soon as somebody pays you, then we consider them a job or they sign a contract. So then the workflow will change it automatically. Otherwise, you would have to change it from a lead to a job manually.
Right, but what I'm saying is maybe this is like a difference in 2.0 or 3.0, but when I set up my statuses, I have multiple statuses under the jobs. And some of those are lost statuses, not just the one statuses.
Yeah, so actually, go ahead.
So where do you put a lost status if that's not the right place to put it, I guess?
I would actually use a tag instead for that because these are really meant to be active, any active clients that you have currently working on. And then I would put a tag that you lost them and put them into archived.
Oh, okay.
Because these are really meant to be like, we want them to be progressing from one step to the next. And then once they're offboarded, they have their last, whatever it is, then we archive them, even if they were an active client.
Okay.
But that shouldn't be any different from 2.0 to 3.0.
The conversion rate's new though. So right? You were saying, yeah. So I didn't have that problem. So now my conversion rates will all be wrong.
No,
because
it won't be wrong. Just don't delete them. It won't be wrong. As long as you have the project tracking, like the project sources on your lead capture, then it will capture the correct conversion rate.
I have the project sources, but because I have lost statuses under jobs, all of my projects eventually end up under the jobs tab because they either get one or they get lost. So in that case, wouldn't my conversion rate just show 100%?
No, because it's only based off of money that's being paid, not the project status. It's able to track here that these people were leads, but within that project, it will show whoever paid you and signed a contract.
Okay, so only calculates conversion if there's like an invoice associated with it?
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, because you can move them between lead and job as much as you want, but the system is going to say, well, they've paid you money. They're a job now.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Okay, great.
Yeah, good question. Okay, so we'll know the conversion from proposal sent to went cold versus work we turn away. No, it's only converting a lead from a job. So it's not super specific. But I was at a conference last week and we were actually talking about that other CRMs can do that and show like from the date that the project was created to how long it actually took them to book. So there's definitely, I think this will continue to get better, but to be able to show like how many were sent a proposal and then actually converted, that would be great data to have, right? Not just lead becomes a job. So hoping in the future that will be something that we have. But yeah, I think I'm going to move on if there's no other questions. I just want to point this out, this little bell. It used to be up in the top corner and it was called notifications. So this still functions the exact same way. It's going to show everything that's happening in your account in chronological order. So now you can see what is all and versus what is unread. So you can mark everything as read and it will clear all of your notifications. So when you come in and like start fresh, it's kind of nice because then you can actually see if something new has happened, like if you didn't have your notifications on for some reason. I always like to say like after the weekend, it's nice to come in and check on and see what's happening inside of your account. And I'm just going to point out the notification settings. As you'll see, we can find the settings down here and we can find it in other places as well, but you'll also see it here in updates, which we didn't have before. If you don't have the Dubsado app, I would recommend getting that. I know that was fairly newish in the last year or so, but you can also control which notifications you're getting via email versus the ones that you're getting in the app. So if you haven't done that, just a reminder to do that. Again, nothing is different. Nothing is different from 2.0 to 3.0. So in your scavenger hunt, a couple of things I just want to point out to you is they have not changed really the core of what is in here at the moment, but it's just been reorganized to help it feel a little more approachable. So the business info should be exactly the same. The styling, I do love that they added this little preview button here. So this is where if you wanted to change your main logo, you could come in and upload a circular logo or something smaller. This is going to be visible only on your invoices, is the only place that this shows up automatically and on your dashboard. But otherwise, that is not client facing in any other sense. But now you can come in and select a brand color and actually see what it's going to look like. The text will still always be white, so you don't want to pick something that doesn't have a lot of contrast, but I do like that now they kind of help you, guide you to what would be the best or what it's going to actually look like on your client's side. So when you send like a proposal link or a scheduler link, this is where that color is coming from here. In the scavenger hunt I'm going to send you, they changed the banner width just slightly. So if you were like, hey, I needed to update this anyways, then I'm going to give you that new template with the new size. But your 1 and 2.0 is still working just fine. But before, this was very confusing to figure out what color is going where, what on earth is this for, but it gives you a little more design control to, again, preview what it's going to actually look like inside of the client portal. So I'll have that for you as well if you wanted to come in and make any changes. I do recommend turning off the logo in here, and I always just leave this as projects, but you certainly could change it if you wanted to, the text. I am finding though, I also removed this welcome message and I just include it in my Canva templates down here. I am finding that if I do this in 3.0, it's not carrying over. Like I have to go and actually delete the text from 2.0 because it's not actually working in 3.0. So I'll show you in a preview in a moment what that looks like, but just as a note, hopefully they fix that in the future. Molly, I'll get back to your question in just a second. The URL customization, everything should be about the same in here. Again, if you haven't done this, this is not a must, but it is nice because it will hide up at the top what your client sees. So in this case up here, it's going to show the Dubsado favicon and it will say Dubsado for creatives. So if you want to hide that and actually show your favicon and your preview image and control what the title looks like, you can do that. And a lot of people miss this step in here. This will actually guide you through how to set it up. You have to like go into your domain, but instead of your client seeing hello.dubsado.com, it will actually hide it to be your domain. So I think mine says hey.kellymccracken.co, but you can pick whatever word you want in there. just as like a nice to have, really, so that your clients don't see the Dubsado at all. It just looks like it's coming from your business. So I think everything else in here is about the same, but again, they might have just changed the language slightly to make things a little bit easier to understand. And I'm just going to point this out because I say it all the time, but if you set up Dubsado yourself, you may have missed that they partnered with Stripe. So I do recommend everybody using Stripe with Dubsado. It then allows you to take ACH payments where the maximum fee is $5. So you're not paying that 3% fee every single time. And you can also then control if you want your clients to be able to only pay via ACH, or they can pay both credit card and ACH. The Stripe is the only payment processor here that gives you that option. Otherwise, PayPal is just taking 3% off every single time. You have no control over those fees. If you wanted to surcharge, you certainly could by using Stripe and PayPal. I'm sorry, Stripe and Dubsado. So again, that's not an option with the other payment processor. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm going to move into the project page here, which I think has taken me the longest to get used to. And to be honest, I'm still sort of getting used to it. But I want to show you a couple of tips that might make this feel a little bit less overwhelming. So one thing that you can do is actually hide this sidebar completely. So you're only seeing your projects. And they still have the leads and the jobs up here at the top, just like they did before in the all section here. But you can now control how you like to view it. So if you like to view it as a board view, you could switch it from the display there and it will save every time. Or I think I'm liking the table view the most. But what I want you to play around with is what is actually being shown on the screen, because you don't necessarily need to see all of these things at once. So for example, you probably don't need to see that the contract is there. You might want to, but you don't have to. I would keep the status. I think that's nice to have. That says contact and the contract is here. So we can hide both of those things. I would keep the workflow here visible, because if there's ever an error or something comes up that you want to be able to see it on the forefront, that is nice to have there. But you can always hide a lot of these things so that it makes it feel a lot less overwhelming on the screen. So again, you can kind of play around with how you like to see things, and you can change now how you group them, whether it's by the source of how they found you, if they're assigned to certain team members. The tags is even great for, like, if you wanted to see, for example, all of your wedding clients, all of your portrait clients, or whatever it is that you offer, then you can everybody can do this differently. There's no one way to have this organized. I'm still keeping it as statuses because I like to see where everybody is. That's really what they're meant to do, is show you how people are progressing along. But it makes it so that it's not as overwhelming to have so many things in one place. Then you can still control things from here. I didn't mention this, but I am liking the emojis on these project statuses here. I'm feeling like when I look at it, let me see, I think it only comes up with the table. When I look at this across the top, if you're a previous client of mine, I probably didn't include emojis, but I'm feeling like I need something here visually to make it stand out a little bit more to me. So you can always come over into the settings here and change these and add emojis if you like, just to make it like pop a little bit more, so you can track where clients are in the progress of working with you. So again, this is taking me the most getting used to, for sure. When you come into a client project now, let me see if I could find, I have a Ross and Rachel. Where are they? Ross and Rachel, there we are. Okay. So everything is very, very similar over here now. It's just laid out slightly differently. Just like in 2.0, we still have this like home page that you can see all of their main details, but now it's a lot bigger. So if you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll see the messages, invoicing, forms, flows, and that's mimicking this across the top. Messages, invoicing, forms, flows, everything is the same. So instead of seeing this on the global level like you would over here, we're now seeing it on the very granular level of just this one client project. And I use this navigation up here at the top to sort of figure out, like, where am I in this? And when I see project and then I see the client's name here, I know that I'm just inside of the client's details. So when you look at the details page, you can change this picture the color if you want to. I'm feeling like I want this on my dashboard. Like, I don't necessarily want this on the project page because I'm not really going to spend the time to come in here and do this, but it's kind of fun. If you wanted to change the colors, you certainly can. Then again, this is just the project title up here at the top, but now you're going to see this new suggestions up here where they're like picking up to say, like, hey, this hasn't gotten completed in a while and this might need your attention. So it's almost like a little summary overview of anything that you need. And you can click right from here to be like, okay, I'm going to just send a quick reminder that their payment is overdue, or whatever it is that comes up in this little suggested. So it's meant to make it easier and faster instead of having to like really dive into exactly what's happening inside of the project. But everything else in here should feel very familiar. It just looks slightly different. I do want to point out, though, in this activity over here, it's probably collapsed when you first log into 3.0, but it used to live under the very last tab under notes, and it would have like a record of everything that's happening in your account. And they've moved it now to the very home page under details. And it took me a while to find the archive button, but it's right above it. So you'll see that you can archive this project if they choose not to move forward, you decide they're not a good fit, or maybe you need to go in and archive a bunch of old projects. You can do so from this button here. Don't let me forget, I want to also show you the bulk archiving if you need to do that. So then when you come into messages now, I call these the tabs across the top. This has now gotten hugely improved, where before, if a client sent you like a one-off email, like to your Gmail and not necessarily a response to an email from Dubsado, then the system wouldn't track it. And now all of your emails are being tracked no matter how it was sent, whether it was from Dubsado, from a workflow, or from your Gmail. Everything should be in here. I am still getting used to it being in the sent folder. So like when you're actually seeing like the workflow emails that are sent, it's not showing just in the inbox. It's actually under this sent folder here. But I have found that it is very, very good about picking up any responses or all emails back and forth, which is really nice. Then with invoicing, you'll kind of see, again, very similar. Things really shouldn't be much different in here, but it just looks slightly different. You can also, of course, like change how you want it to be viewed. But this is actually, I think this is actually at the global level, like showing all of them when you do that. So the other thing I just wanted to point out here as well, they do have this new feature called task boards that before it existed, but it was like very hard to add it to your projects, and I rarely ever use them. But I was playing around with it yesterday and it felt like Asana to me. So you could go in and basically make a client's project board. So you can move things around. You could set due dates to be on your calendar. So if you make a template like board, you can always come in here and add that to your client's project later on. So right now, I don't believe this is a part of any workflows, but it is a nice little option or a way to add in a little more project management that we didn't have before in 2.0. Okay, I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but I want to go back to the project page and just remind you about a couple of things. So they just recently released more bulk actions, so things that you can do all at once. So when you click now, let me go back to the table. Like, where's my little checkbox? Okay, so when you come in to check all your projects now, I don't know why that's not letting me click them from there. But you can come in now and click on multiple clients at once, and you can do, instead of having to click on each single one, you could come in and bulk change all of their project statuses all at one time. You could add a tag, or my favorite now is you could send an email. So what I love about this is see how it's connected to the the contacts. So if you came in here and said, hi, client first name, or full name, whatever, and you wanted to tell them something like you're out of office, or we're having an event, I'd love for you to attend, or hey, update on your project, here's where we're at for the month. That will actually send it correctly to fill in to your 3 separate contacts. So it will say their correct name. So it will still feel like a personalized email to them and not just like an email blast to everyone. So you can get that done all at one time. The other thing that they've updated is that you can schedule emails as well. Let me go back to messages. If you compose from here, you can schedule. I actually need to put this in a project. My many projects here. So you can do a custom time now. Instead of, it used to just be like an hour or a day from now, and now you can actually set a custom time. So if you're a person who like works at like 2 a.m, then this might be helpful for you to schedule later on rather than doing it at 2 a.m. and letting your client know that you're working then. So this I find really helpful to have in there, and it will put it into their essentially their workflow section and schedule it for whenever you want it to send. And then let me actually click off. You can click around on the screen now. So if you need to go look something up or you need to go elsewhere in Dubsado, this will stay sticky at the bottom, where before you couldn't do that. You would lose your draft or it didn't actually save it in there. So I'm really loving that feature as well. Okay, so let me just make sure I've got everything on here. I think I've covered everything I wanted to say on the project page. So let's move down into events. And events used to be called appointments. So I know that's kind of a bit of an adjustment again, but this is meant to have everything that's going on in your connected calendar as well as everything inside of Dubsado. So they have been working on updating the scheduler templates. I'm going to assume they are not done yet. I know there are more features that people need, but there are some really great things that you probably missed. So now every single time you're in 3.0, actually, I think it's really any time once you're logged into 3.0, your client will now automatically calendar invite added to their calendar as well. So before they had to click the add to calendar button, but now I think they used AI with Google to be able to actually add it right to their calendar. So just like, I think it's like your phone is like reading when you get new messages and things like that. And then it says like, oh, do you want to add this to your calendar? It will all do that automatically. There's no like toggling it on or off. So in any of my recent client projects, I've just not been including that inside of their email reminders because it's doing it for them now. I tested it the other day and it took like 30 to 40 minutes for it to actually show up on my calendar, but it was there. It did eventually show up. So the other thing that you might have missed is you can actually customize these event descriptions down here. So when your client looks at that event now on their calendar, you can say something like, I can't wait to meet you, or I'll see you soon. Here's the link to our meeting. It will, of course, already be there, but like, I'm just thinking out loud. I did ask Dubsado, this seems to be a bug that we can't, for whatever reason, I can't access these smart fields, but they should be accessible. So it's something that's known, I guess, as a bug, and yours might be different. I know that it's not in every single client account, but it has been in mine for quite some time. So I can't actually access these. But they told me that I could take the smart fields from elsewhere. Like I could go and grab them from my emails and I could put the smart fields in here and it will work. So definitely test it out, see how it looks on your calendar after you do that. Try it maybe on like a personal email or something and see how it pulls in. But you want to make sure to update these so that they're not like the standard description of whatever is in there. Now, I've been really loving this availability. As you know, before it was like very painful to go through the like scrolling and trying to figure out like dates and times and all these things. So now you could set it one time. So let's just say I'm going to hit plus. I can either type it or scroll. But let's say it's till 2 p.m. Now, if I want to offer that schedule every single day, I could copy it to every day if I want to. And then when I click apply, it will update everything. So much easier. Or you can just X out from here and you can add a different time. Once you have this set as well, you can also copy this to another scheduler. So you could go into like a different appointment and I could say, okay, I want to copy that from my discovery call appointments and apply it there. So then it will copy the exact same offerings of availability. And then again, below this language it is exactly the same as 2.0, but I think they're trying to make it a little more approachable, a little bit easier to understand. So 14 days in the future is how far they can book out, no less than 24 hours in advance. Okay, I think that is everything that I wanted to say there. Let me see. Let me just look at my notes. Okay, so let me go back to projects for a second. I think as I mentioned in the beginning, I have not done any form editing like proposals, questionnaires in 3.0 yet. When I'm using CSS especially, it is not ready for me to be in there and it looks very funky. So let me just show you an example. Let's see, this is a coded one. It looks very hard to read here, you know, but then if we do put it in preview, it fixes it and corrects it. So I'm still doing all of my form editing in 2.0. If you're using CSS in these blocks, you'll also see here, it's not like wrapping. So it's really hard to read and keep track of. So again, I'm sure this is coming very soon, but it is not there quite yet. But I did want to point out what is working really well inside of the client projects. Let me go back to Ross and Rachel. They have a new form summary that has been really, really nice. So any form that is completed is going to show up for you like this. So especially like for wedding photography, for example, or if you just need the information like ASAP without all of the styling, this allows you to have like a very quick summary rather than having to go in and look at like all the pretty pictures and headings and things like that. You can also then share this as a, I think you can export it as like a CSV file or download it as a PDF. You can also copy those responses. But if you wanted to see it like your client did, then you can just switch back, which is really nice. So I'm really loving that feature. It's very handy to be able to like get exactly what you need and move it elsewhere. Before, I know you had to like really dig through the forms to figure out exactly what you need. Somebody asked me, can you upload more than one image now into these forms? And yes, last week I tested it and you could not. So when you were editing forms in 3.0, I was only able to add one file at a time, but I tried it today with adding, let's say 2 images, and it did let me, let's just say I'm going to pick these 2, open these up. Now, again, I'm assuming that this is going to continue to get better, but you can now open the gallery view so you can see things a lot easier. I'm going to tell myself I'm going to be better about like renaming all of these things. And I know that I won't be, but like if you were better than I am and you rename them before you upload them into Dubsado, there is a search feature here where you can actually find what you need. So if you were looking for something specific, it's not like an AI search where you're like, I can't, like if I was searching for a computer image, it's not going to pull that up, but it can search the titles right now. And I'm going to assume at some point we'll be able to search based on the image, but this is definitely a big upgrade for sure. Okay, so I want to make sure I have time to get to everything. So in your invoicing, let's go over to there for a moment. I just want to point out that if you wanted to update your packages, there's a very nice little new feature now where previously you could update your package templates and it was like kind of unreliable if it would actually carry over to your proposals. Some accounts I found for whatever reason, it would always update the proposal and others it would not. Mine is one of them that it does not update the proposal. So one thing that you can also do is in your packages, you can now come in here and let's say you were going to raise your prices globally or you were going to add like a full gallery, whatever it is that you're going to add to your packages or change. I know that you guys probably have on your to-do list to go in and make some updates here. But what you'll see now is see how it says save and update across 6 templates. So if you click this button, it will automatically push it out to your proposals. So you don't have to actually go back in and reconnect them or add anything that you might have missed. So it tells you exactly where they are, and then you just click that button and it will push them over, which is very cool. Okay, I'm going to jump down to flows because I'm looking at the time. So again, in terms of workflow function, nothing is different. I know conditional logic is coming. I know having multiple people on a workflow is coming, but it's not there quite yet. I am loving this overview over here because before it was very easy for workflows to either get paused or have errors and you could have missed it. And then, 3 months go by and you're like, oh no, they didn't get X, Y, and Z. So now I am liking that you can see it on a much easier view. You'll see that this green right here is showing everything that's completed. The gray is anything that was skipped. And then the red is something that has an error. It needs your attention. So you'll be able to see that like very quickly. For my existing clients, as you know, if you transferred your clients into Dubsado and you needed to get them into the correct flow, it was very painful to have to go and like either add approvals or like get them all moved over into the correct place. But now when you go to start a flow, it has a, let me just click this one. So let's say let me just say it's number 3. You're onboarding your clients here, and we're going to onboard Kelly McCracken. Now they have this add and edit button where if you click start flow, that's going to trigger. If the first trigger is ready to go, it's going to start it. But the add and edit is going to automatically pause the workflow. And you have a chance to go in and make any changes, make any updates, and then you'll have to unpause it and it will continue. So before it was like, oh, it was like so hard to make sure you didn't send something at the wrong time, especially if you were manually adding people to a contract. So it is much easier now. Let's see. I think the other thing, I'm just taking a quick peek at my notes. So I did see yesterday, I'm just going to point this out in the bottom right-hand corner, that they have this news section over here. So if you're curious about what's happening, they seem to be pushing out these updates about once a month or so. There should be another one, maybe I'm guessing next week, but you'll be able to come in and see exactly what they're working on. And when I did that, there it goes. When I did that, I was looking at this, the bulk actions that they have in here, but they have all of these other bug fixes. And one that I saw was that now you can send a PDF in a workflow. So before we couldn't do that, but now we actually can, which is very exciting. So if you come down, oh, sorry, it's not this one. If you come down to these change logs here, this is going to show you a record of everything that they've been currently updating and making changes to. So I'm not checking it like every single day, but like I check in every once in a while to see like what's going on and what's being updated. So yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. And if you haven't already, I definitely want to encourage you to actually reach out to Dubsado and send a message. And if you click on 3.0 here and then submit a feedback or question, they're actively reading all these things, prioritizing what they can get done. And if more and more people say that we need X, Y, and Z, those things are going to continue to be a priority. So I do encourage you to, if you're like, I need something to change, I really don't like this, here's what I'm thinking, here's why, I think I would encourage everyone to submit feedback or changes. And I know that they're actively like reading them and making updates as they go through them. Okay, I think I'm going to end with that and I'm going to open up to questions. I know I had a couple that I missed from earlier. Billy, do you want to, let me just get back to my screen. Do you want to tell me if I missed any other Q&A questions in here?
I actually added them to your notes, so they should be at the bottom.
Oh, perfect. Amazing, amazing. Okay, great. Okay, so someone had emailed me and asked me, how do I add expenses to a project? So I am going to show you how to do that. I think the reporting tab is coming back eventually, but for right now in invoicing into here, to add any expenses, you have to actually come into the invoice section. No, where is it? Transactions. So if you come into transactions and you do new transaction, you can then record an expense and tie it to this project here. So if you needed to pay for supplies or anything like that, it will add into your reporting section as well, but you can also record your expenses from there. And then somebody said, in the past, I have added a form to a project and added my own notes to it without ever sending it to a client. You can still do that in 2.0. You can either manually add a form to a project that would just be client facing, doesn't need to be sent to a client, or you can use the notes section as well. When you come into the project under notes, these are only visible to you. These are not client visible. So if you wanted to take notes from here, you can always do that. The other idea that I had for taking notes while on a call, I mean, these call logs are very nice. I think I should be better about doing this myself, because you can add actually like the date and time and actually keep track of like when you had phone calls with people. But you can also use a task board for that. So you could have like all of your questions that you ask on a call and then just quickly fill in the answers as you're talking with the client. So you can still use forms hidden, or you can use some of these other features here as well. Is there an alternative way to format, for example, do contracts with your assistants without it affecting your conversion rate? Oh, I see. Like if you have an independent contractor, that's a great question. No, but I would actually reach out and clarify that, because I think it's only money is actually what's showing the conversion rate and tied to a project. But I think that would be a good point to make sure that it's not affecting your conversion rate at all, to have contracts signed by an independent contractor or a second shooter or things like that. Do the messages thread in 3.0? Yes. Yep. They're going to all thread inside of the inbox here. So when your client sees it in their portal messages, they'll see all of them back and forth. I don't know for sure that they would thread like all together in one chunk, but if they reply to an email that's been sent, then yes, it will be in there, as well as your response as well. So it has been very, very good at that. Does scheduling in Dubsado look and connect to calendars like Calendly does? If so, can you connect multiple calendars? So as I believe you can still only connect one calendar to Dubsado, but there are ways in your Gmail calendar to actually have them be connected. I have gone back and forth on this because as you can see here, I have like my primary work email, and it allows me to have two here and sync them. So importing and exporting. But this one, I also did connect to my Gmail. So I actually need to clarify that. As far as I know, you can still only connect one calendar, but if they are connected in your Gmail under the umbrella of your work email, they should also reflect inside of your Dubsado account. I've had this on my to-do list for months now to make a video showing you how to connect it, because of course you only do it once, and once we get it connected, everything's great. But until then, it is very tricky. All right, I'm just looking at my other screen. Yeah, the form summary is so good. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, Kim double checked with the conversion rate, and it is only money exchange, not a contract signed. So thank you, Kim. Great. Okay, so we do not have what they're calling a sunset date yet on 2.0. So there is no rush. I think Dubsado knows their audience. They know that we're not just going to pull the rug out from under you. You will be notified again and again and again. And like I said, I know that they're still building out a lot of the features that people are really asking for. So I don't expect it to be by the end of the year. I think they originally were planning that, and I'm pretty sure that's no longer the case. But we do not have any official date yet. Are there any other questions I can answer? Let me know how you're feeling now in the chat. Are you feeling better? Are you feeling like a little more confident? Yeah, I get it. It is scary. It's so scary. Yeah, the project page, yeah, it's definitely a little overwhelming, a little more so than I thought. But yeah, I do encourage you to just I constantly am flipping back and forth between the two. I am teaching all of my clients now in 3.0, especially if they're brand new to Dubsado. I don't want them to have to learn 2.0 and then learn 3.0 again. But I did put together a little scavenger hunt for you. And I encourage you to like take the challenge on and not actually look at how to do it, but try to be like, where is this? How can I find it? But I do give you the directions as well of how to actually find what you need to find. So if you want to just start playing around with it, I'd love to know if you complete the challenge and like get through all of them. I think there's 13 steps there. It's a lot of what we talked about today, so it's nothing super brand new. But perfect. Yes, I need to update my Notion, but Billy just shared the link for you directly, or you can scan the QR code. Let's see. And last but not least, I did want to offer something special to all of you today. So if you're like, I still haven't set up my workflows, I still am not using automation, I am still doing everything manually, I would love to offer you a Dubsado VIP day. Normally, I do not include code in any of my VIP day services, but as a bonus for you joining me today, I will add in all of your fonts inside of your coded forms. So rather than being limited to just the like 30 fonts that Dubsado has, we would be able to include all of your branded custom fonts at no additional cost to you. So if you want to learn more about a VIP day, I'm going to share the link in the chat, or Billy's going to grab that for me. Thank you so much, Billy. And I'm always, yes, yeah, the only way we can include fonts currently is with CSS, with code. So there's no other way to get your custom fonts in there. But I love chatting with you in the DMs. So like, I'd love to hear about how's it going? How are you feeling? What are you working on? Like, how can I help you? Always feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. I'm usually the most active in there. And you can always find me at kellymccracken.co, or my email is hello@kellymccracken.co. But I will have the recording for you today as well. So I'll send this to you so you can always refer back to it. But I'm hoping that that scavenger hunt will really send you on your way and give you everything that you need. But yes, so thank you all so much for spending some time with me today. I appreciate you coming. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Amazing, amazing. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing how things are going, and I'd love to hear your progress as you go through the scavenger hunt. But thank you all so much for joining me today, and I will talk to you all soon.